I've sold this agent and ones exactly like it for $4,000 to businesses. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how I built it and give you the entire code for free. Not only will you have access to this agent to use for yourself, but you will be able to sell it to your own clients. And if you stick around to the end, I'll show you exactly the step-by-step what you need to do in order to build an AI agency just like mine and start making money online with AI automation. Let's get into the video. All right, so what is this agent? This agent is essentially a generalist knowledge base and action agent. It has the ability to do research, to read your emails, to reply to emails, to send messages to anybody in Slack, to read through any knowledge base documents that you've put, potentially in a CRM or elsewhere. But I'm just gonna do a quick demo and show you kind of how it works. So say, hello bot, what can you do? And you'll see the agent kick off. And right now it's only going to use the chat agent. So you'll see, hey, I'm there to assist you, answering questions about your company, sending and managing emails, sending messages in Slack, conducting research, and retrieving and managing messages from Gmail. Those are some of the tools that we've given it. And believe it or not, people will pay top dollar for something like this just because they're looking for something useful. A lot of times we're trying to build the flashiest AI assistants when what you should be doing is looking to drive value for your clients, and they will pay you for it and your relationship will increase. And that's how you get them to sign retainers for multiple months. Let's get into exactly what we've got going on here, because what we focused on is making sure that this agent can be accessible through multiple streams. I'm going to go through all of these nodes and show you exactly how we configure them from start to finish so that you can have this exact same thing, but more importantly, understand how you should be thinking about creating these automations. So go into the Slack trigger and you're going to click on this drop down and create new credential. You're going to want to have a Slack channel before this, so make sure that you have Slack set up. But now we're going to go to api.slack.com and we're going to get our bot credentials. So once you're on api.slack.com, you're going to go to your apps. And if you don't have one yet, you're going to say create new app from scratch, put in your app name, select the workspace that you want it for, and then just click create. I already have one, so I'm just going to use my YouTube bot. Then you're going to want to take note of a few things. We have a client secret here, and then in OAuth and permissions, we have a bot user token. These are going to be the two things that we put in the N8N. But before we do that, we want to make sure that our bot is set up properly to have all of the event subscriptions go through. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is to make sure you're scrolled in OAuth and permissions. You're going to scroll down to scopes, and here's what we want to give the bot access to. What the scopes do is they allow your bot to have access to the correct permissions so that it can actually see and send over those events to your application or to your N8N flow. So you're going to do app mentions read, channels history, channels read, chat write. Groups history, groups read, and groups write are important so that the bot can mention or say things in private groups or channels that are not accessible to the entire workspace. The way that you add these is you click add a scope and then you'll type that in. So let's actually go in and configure our credential in N8N. You're going to come to OAuth tokens, copy this here, and go back to N8N. In our create credential, we're going to paste our OAuth token here in the access token spot. Then go back to N8N and go to basic information, and then you want to show the signing secret, copy that, and then we're going to put that in the signature secret here. Save, and it's going to click say testing. Awesome, great. We want this credential successfully created to show up. So once that is saved, name this whatever you want, but it helps to name your credentials so you know what they are. YouTube Slack. Everything's working great. Cancel out of there. And what we're going to have here is our webhook URLs. This is the next part that we're going to do. You click on that and go back to Slack API to event subscriptions, enable events, and we're going to go over to this and we're going to change this. Well, for you, it'll probably be the first time, so that's probably not going to exist there, but you're going to put in your event subscription for the first time. And when you put it in, it may say, oh, it's not returning the right thing. What you need to do is make sure you click execute step at the beginning here so that your N8N flow is listening and can respond to the request to validate that the handshake is going through. So once we've done that, we've basically set up our Slack trigger. So the next thing that we have is our Telegram trigger. And I really love the Telegram trigger because Telegram is a great way to communicate, and some teams are already on Telegram, and it is way faster than you would assume to actually make a Telegram agent. So you're going to come into Telegram, and then you're going to create a chat with @botfather. When you go to the botfather, you just click open app, and you're going to create a new bot, name it whatever you want, my fave bot, and we need to make a unique name here. So YouTube test bot has to end in bot. Create your bot here. It's going to give you your key here. So you're going to copy that key, and you're going to go back to N8N, and we're going to do the same thing here. We'll create a new credential, enter that key, and you're completely done with the Telegram setup. Just like that, Telegram is set up perfectly fine. So what we want this one to trigger on is messages. You can trigger on a bunch of different things, but right now we're just going to trigger on message. It's going to send over the message, some information about the chat, and then we'll save that and we'll send it to our variables. All right, next thing that we want to do is we want to set up the webhook trigger. All you have to do is add the webhook trigger here, and you're pretty much done. Just only thing that we want to make sure that we're configuring is that authentication is set to none and respond is set to using respond to webhook node. This will allow for us to actually determine and pass the response that we want rather than just the last thing in your workflow being passed back to the agent. And then lastly, we have a chat message one so that you can chat with it through the N8N interface when you're testing it, right? So we can put this in here. There is not much setup here, but I want to show you that you want to make sure you click options here. And I guess since I have my option, it's already showing, but you click add field, go to response mode, and we're going to say response mode using response nodes. And then that is our setup of all of our triggers. So the next part is actually pretty simple, but basically so that we can normalize the event that is going through and send it to our AI to basically route based on which chat it's sent, we just create the exact same variables in each one of these. So you'll see it says inbound, and that's Slack message, and basically exactly what the Slack message block comes out to, and then key. But when you're doing memory, the agent needs to know which conversation it's been having so that it maintains that same context for when it's replying to the next message. So this key here is what the username would be for the Slack. And we can set anything we want to the trigger, but you want it to be something that will be repeatable based on who is sending the message. From Telegram, we have a very similar thing. We have the message here, and oops, we didn't add our inbound as Telegram. Yeah, but same thing here. We have the message, we have the chat ID as the key. So basically, if it's coming from this chat, then you know that it is it's going to be in this conversation, inbound as Telegram. Then webhook. We set up our webhook however we want to set up our webhook, but same thing here. We done JSON query.message, and then key JSON query dot key, because we can pretty much put whatever we want in the body of a JSON request that we've formatted ourselves. For chat message, it's just the chat input and the session ID from N8N. Once we're done with that, we map those variables to the standardized version that comes after all of those, basically filtering them all down into this one node. If you have multiple different streams of data coming in and you only want to kind of select one, this is the simplest way that I've found. You just name the variables the same, and you can put this here and it will store that regardless of which one it comes from. You don't have to do any weird if statements. So let's get into the actual meat of this, which is the AI agent. So what is our AI agent configuration? It is a very simple prompt. We said, act as the main brain / secretary behind this company. Take the message from the user and use the tools that you've been given to answer the questions. Any questions about the company should result in you consulting the Pinecone vector database. Use the tools at hand to give the best response, but only if necessary. That is built out that way so that the AI agent doesn't always use the tools if it just needs to answer something that it has, well, potentially in the context of the conversation that it's been having, or in just general knowledge. I want to point out something really, really, really cool. We have an option here for batch processing. And I want to show you that we turn this on, add batch processing, and you can add batch size. I do 3. And what this does is completely change the game for our N8N agent. And you should be doing this for all your agents where it makes sense. That batch processing allows the agent to run multiple of its tools at the exact same time. This means if you have a research tool and maybe something else, you don't have to, as long as it's not a serial process, meaning something that needs to happen after another, it can happen at the same time. They both feed up the agent the information when they're done, and then the agent is able to keep moving forward with that. So this lets our agent process things in parallel and basically gives it superpowers and makes it so much faster. So that is the setup for the base AI agent. And let's go over some of the tools that we have. This, for the chat model, we've chosen GPT 4.1 mini. For memory, we've chosen simple memory. You really don't have to do anything more than that. And you got to put in the key here. So this key is referencing the variable key from here, which would get set dynamically based on what message system this inbound came from. All right. Next thing is the Gmail tool. And the Gmail tool is very, very simple to set up. You would come in here, click create new credential, and then just click sign in with Google. And just like that, it has access to your emails, to your calendar. Actually, no, calendar's a little bit more complicated. I actually have a whole video on that if you want to go and check it out. But sign in with Google has access to just your emails. And that's all we have to do for setting this up. Then for this, we want to let the tool description get set automatically. It's not that important. But the resource we want here is message. The operation is get many, so that we're enabling it to return multiple. And return all I've left off here because you don't really want a scenario where your AI puts a very, very vague search in and Google attempts to return all of your emails. But what I have said is the limit that the model can define. The simplify allows for the actual response from Gmail to be much simpler because there's a lot of data that normally comes from Gmail. And then the only filter that we're going to add is this search here. And you can see here we can add filters of received after, received before. You can give the AI access to that, but I think that search is honestly pretty good and does a really good job of giving the agent some free room to find emails. So that is the get messages so that it can search your emails. The next tool that I want to show you is kind of like the creme de la creme, my favorite tool that I put in every single one of my agents because it's so easy. You can just copy paste it and it provides so much value. is this research tool. So this is the Perplexity API research tool. There is a bunch of different ways that we give AI access to the internet, but this is by far the quickest and most efficient, but also best way to give internet access or research access to your agent. If you just need to do like a simple Google search, maybe go with something like Tavily. Might be a little bit more lightweight. But the output of the research tool is usually something with a bunch of links and sources from what it's done. And Perplexity has actually gone ahead and summarized each one of those links for your AI agent so that the agent doesn't need to read through a bunch of different stuff. And basically, it's another layer that's doing the research on top of the research query that your agent's asked for. It's incredibly cool, and you'll see that it's using Sonar. If you don't have a Perplexity API, I highly suggest getting one of these. A free version would be Tavily. If you guys want, you can drop a like or maybe make a comment, and I can make a completely free version of this, one that doesn't have any paid for APIs or anything. But I think that this is definitely worth it. So I would go with this. It's basic HTTP request. You're going to add your authorization. We're going to send, and in here you'd put your API key. You're going to send the body here. And in the body, we're going to use the model Sonar. And the system prompt is just find information about the query. And we give AI the ability to actually write our query here. And this is what that syntax looks like when you want AI to write something. This only works within an agent node, but the from AI and then your query, and then you give it a description of exactly what it needs to be doing. So this returns research for your agent, and it actually goes pretty fast. Then this is another Slack node, but as a tool. And what we're doing here is we're using that same Slack account, and we're just giving it the ability to send messages into a channel. So you can select whatever channel you want. So we're using the YouTube one, and I'm just going to add that here. And but the options that you want to do, because they always turn this on by default, go into options on Slack, click include link to workflow, and turn that off, because you don't want it to have this link at the bottom of the or at the bottom of the message that says automated by this workflow, because it just doesn't look very professional. You know, in some cases it can be confusing. So to avoid stories that touch, just remove that, which I haven't gone over. But the next one would be send message. Very straightforward setup. We have send message. We let the model actually define everything, the to, the subject, and the message. We just only say email type. But you add this option here because it doesn't do this by default. You have to click add option, append NADN attribution, and turn it off because it's on by default. Because every email will say sent by NADN, and you don't want that. And then lastly, we have, last but not least, the vector database. And this is kind of where a lot of the value comes in from a client's perspective. Because what you do here is this enables you to completely take the knowledge base or any documents or any content that a company or business has, and then store them in a database that an agent is able to query whenever it has questions, and will return those responses up. And when it returns those responses, the agent can then augment what it's seeing with this information and give a better response. That was a lot of garbledygunk, but essentially vector store, make agent good. Cool? Got it. All right, so vector stores, probably not going to show you a whole setup on vectors right now. If you want, you can look at my video on just RAG. But what you would do is you set up your Pinecone vector store in Pinecone, and you're going to go upload file here. So we would click this, upload whatever file you want. This is a one-pager on my business, and we're just going to open it, submit it here. And what this does is it goes in, the AI then chops it up into different chunks and then stores it in our vector database. This will then be callable by the agent, and I'll show you. So if we restart, tell me about DevCore's plans. And it's going to do some information. Then you'll see that it calls the vector store. So you can see that those documents were there and it reached out and it says the process included onboarding with the first week within 90-minute kickoff call that involves a deep dive and workflow audit. So this is really cool, and the application is completely endless. As long as you have documents or you have processes, you put them in this vector store and it enables the agent to know anything about the business that you want. So now let's test the power of the agent that we've just built. What I'm gonna do is I had ChatGPT generate a document that would have the onboarding practices for my company. And we're gonna upload that to the vector store and then ask the agent a series of questions that may or may not be able to be accomplished based on its skills. So we'll just click execute here, upload the file, DevCore client onboarding checklist, done, and great, awesome. Workflow executed successfully, and those documents are now stored in the brain of our agent. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna start executing from the Telegram trigger. What this means is it'll be able to listen to our AI agent and we can watch it as it thinks through the next request. So I've created somewhat of a mega prompt here, and it has, hey agent, read through today's client emails and summarize any new requests. Then draft a reply to any of them confirming we'll deliver the latest update by Friday. Post a quick update in the YouTube Slack channel about the revised timeline, and then pull up the DevCore client onboarding checklist from our knowledge base, summarize the key steps, then do some quick research and give me 3 current trends in AI automation for agencies that I could share with the client. This is an absolute mouthful and something that you would ask a full assistant to do. But let's find out how well it does. So we can see that it has started kicking off. Let's watch the logs here. So it's running the Telegram trigger. It's already done some research. It's looking through the Pinecone vector store, wow, it is doing a lot and it's doing it very fast. It's sending an email. Let's see what it returned. All right, so summary of today's new client request from Lucy regarding the debt financing campaign, including a lead list. So I've drafted up a reply to Lucy confirming we'll deliver the latest update by Friday. And then here are the key steps from the DevCore client onboarding checklist: kickoff and alignment, access and accounts, project setup, communication and workflow, deliverables and timeline, and then 3 current trends in AI automations for agencies, for client sharing, predictive analytics, AI-powered marketing, and creative design. Let me know if you want me to assist in anything else. And just for the cherry on top, let's see. Quick update, the revised timeline for the latest client update is set for delivery by Friday. Our agent did everything that we asked and did it very quickly, in fact. All right, that is the demo. You have just seen the agent in action, and now you have all the code to go and take it and use it yourself or potentially sell it to somebody else. If you want to learn more and dive deeper, I've put all of my workflows and a bunch of other things like my roadmaps in my community at the link below. You can get the code for this exact agent as well as a bunch of other ones. And if you're serious about building your own AI agency and you have any questions, feel free to book a free consultation call. We can talk through how I can help you achieve your dreams making money online with AI automation. If you liked my video and this was helpful to you, or you want to see more content like this, please leave a like or a comment down below so that I can know exactly what you want to see, and potentially consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Anyway, see you guys in the next one. Ciao.